Welcome to the Plant Trainers Podcast, where we're helping people improve their quality of life through nutrition and fitness. And now, your hosts, nutrition and wellness coaches, international speakers, Adam and Shoshana Chaim.
Hey, I'm Adam Chaim.
And I'm Shoshana Chaim, and we are
Propelled by Plants. Today we bring to you episode 451, Neurogenesis and Brain Performance with Lance Schuttler.
In this episode of the Plant Trainers Podcast, we talk with Lance Schuttler all about biohacking for neurogenesis and brain performance. Lance is a great speaker, and you're going to find his explanations easy to follow. We get into amazing details about brain health and overall happiness, and we love how many easy ideas he has for better health that you could start doing in your homes for free right now. You're going to find out if your cool shades are helping or hindering your happiness, and you're going to learn some exercises that you could start doing in your homes for your happy hormones to start flowing. Of course, we talk about nutrition for neurogenesis and brain performance as well.
Lance graduated from the University of Iowa with a bachelor's degree in health science and is the CEO and owner of Ascent Nutrition, a unique holistic nutrition company. He's a contributing health and wellness writer at the Epoch Times. Lance's work also includes the topics of regenerative agriculture, resource-based economies, and quantum technologies. A lot of great tips and tricks in today's show that are super easy to use and incorporate in your life. Enjoy the show.
I'm sick and tired of feeling sick and tired is something that I'm hearing over and over again from women who are coming to me saying, I think I'm doing all the things right. There must be something else out there for me, Shoshana. Please help. And their gratitude after they've started working with me is just incredible, and I love it, and I'm so humbled by it. If you'd like a 20-minute free consultation to see how I can help you above and beyond everything you're doing now, please reach out at info@planttrainers.com and I'll hook you up.
And now for a moment of gratitude.
I'm grateful for walks. I've been walking and playing my meditations at the same time, and it's a very peaceful time for me. And if I ever miss it, boy, does it derail my day. So I don't miss it anymore.
I'm grateful for getting outside in the sunshine and just enjoying the beautiful days of summer.
Lance Schuttler, thank you so much for joining us on the Plant Trainers Podcast today.
Thank you, Shoshana. Thank you, Adam. I'm really looking forward to this.
So are we. And I think our audience wants to know if you have a moment of gratitude to share with us.
Yes, absolutely. So this morning, I live down here in Florida, and I moved down here about a year ago, and I moved from Iowa. And this morning, it started downpouring here. And I was explaining to someone yesterday that I'm close to how here in Florida, even when it's cloudy and rainy, it's still sunny. The sun was still shining. It was so bright, and it cleared up in a matter of 10 minutes. But really what I'm truly grateful for, you guys, is the sunshine. I'm someone who really, really needs the light, and I really need the sunshine just for my happiness, my physical health, emotional health, all of it. So again, I'm just truly grateful to be down here in Florida for the sunshine that's constantly shining here and just everything that is provided in this beautiful area.
I think it really does make a huge difference when you get to see the sun or be outside. I know that we go through a long winter here in Toronto, and we're indoors so much of it, and it's dark early, and it's really amazing how you feel so different when you get outside and you do see the daylight a lot more. It makes a big difference overall in everyone's well-being, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'm sure that we'll end up coming back to this as we go through our topic for the day. But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about how you found the plant-based lifestyle.
So back in 2010, I was training pretty hard to be not a bodybuilder per se. I didn't have any interest in actually pursuing that as a career or even just a side hobby. But I had grown up playing sports, and I met a friend in college who was a bodybuilder, and he was really dedicated to it. And he just trained me on how to train, in the gym. And so I was really just trying to get bigger and stronger and, just look and feel better. And at the time I was eating a lot of meat. I mean, a lot. And I started to have some pretty serious heart palpitations, nothing that I went to the hospital for, or the doctor. I mean, I'm sure that some people would have, but I was pretty young, 21 at the time, and I just was kind of just brushing it off, although it was starting to concern me. And I eventually came across the book, The China Study. And, I actually don't recall how it came into my life, but there it showed up, and I read it straight through within a matter of a couple days. And I was so inspired and intrigued and motivated that I just decided, all right, I'm going to cut out the meat. I still was consuming dairy at the time, cut out the meat, and just to see if I would notice anything in my athletic performance and just, my physical body. And you guys, I noticed literally within, it was that first week, I started feeling significantly better, less inflammation, less groggy, and the heart palpitations and the heart pain, it was more of like a stinging pain, went away, and it has never come back since.
It's crazy how the impact of the food we consume makes such a big difference. And I can't believe you read that whole China study in such a short period of time. That's it's
a hard book to read.
A big one.
It is. I was like, really looking for answers at the time. And I just knew that I got a couple pages or maybe a paragraph or a chapter into it, and it just really drew me in. And I knew that I just wanted to just keep busting through it.
Yeah. And, there's a certain theme of books that come up on the podcast, because, of course, we ask everybody the same question. How did you find plant-based? And most people, a book really influenced them. But you're the first person to say this book as the first book. Most people, this is like their follow-up book. So that's quite interesting, too. But I know that you're a science person, and I know that you get very fascinated with certain areas of health. So tell us a little bit about how you got into brain health.
Yeah. So a couple of years before that, I had a family member who ended up taking his life, and it's sort of a longer situation, but it really sort of opened me up to ask deeper questions about my life and my existence. Why am I here? What am I doing? And, there was pharmaceuticals that were involved, and it just really sort of forced me to look at the medical industry and try to understand what was really going on. And, quickly started to learn how diet, nutrition, lifestyle, mindset, all of that really plays a huge role in who we are and how our lives are shaped, and started to learn about the pharmaceuticals and what they can do in a detrimental way to people, and I saw that firsthand. So it really just catalyzed my process to dig deeper, to look for answers. And, with that, I saw what can happen to a person when their mind is really sort of clouded and overtaken, we could say. And I just really wanted to look for deeper answers of, first, how could I help myself to be happier? Because, that was a pretty difficult situation for me. But then how could I take that information and apply it to what I was studying at the time, which is health science, and, bring it to more people and just simply help people to be happier and not have to go through that pain and suffering.
So, I've been on antidepressants myself, and when you don't feel real, it's really hard to make other changes in your life and help you get on track. Of course, there is a time and a place for pharmaceutical medications when you're getting down to the life or death situation, if those pharmaceuticals are not creating that life or death situation. But we need to do more than just eat good foods to kind of get ourselves back on track and create this amazing lifestyle. So let's talk a little bit about that. Why don't you explain to us a little bit about what the word neurogenesis means?
Yeah. So neurogenesis means the creation of new neurons. So, obviously the etymology of the word neurons, and genesis, the creation. So the creation of new neurons, and also the repairing of damaged neurons. And so that also includes the synapses, the dendrites, the axons, how, lifestyle and just overall, the aging process and all that's involved with aging. The neurons eventually can start to degrade, but also regardless of age, whether someone's an infant or 90 plus years old, neurogenesis has been shown to be possible and does continue to happen throughout our life. And, this goes deeper into, the foods and the diet and lifestyle and exercises, but just that concept really has always been intriguing to me. There's a short little story of how I really got into it, which was the movie Limitless. When that came out, I watched it and I loved it. And, I knew it was just a movie, but I also knew at the time that this concept is absolutely real. Now, whether it, comes in a magic bullet pill, that's something to be debated. I think there's certainly a lot more than just one pill that's going to do it. I think we all agree with that. But the concept remains the same. There are things that we can consume and also do that does help with the process of neurogenesis and helps us to really optimize our mind and our life. I was really kind of putting myself in the main character's role, watching the movie, and after watching it, just thinking, I didn't necessarily want what he was doing in the movie, but I knew that I wanted a better life, and I wanted to really just push forward and maximize my happiness, my cognitive abilities, and just do what I could do to maximize everything that was going on and everything that I was and am interested in.
So what are some of the things that our audience, our listeners can do to help with their brain health and happiness?
So, I like to talk about the free things that people can do first and foremost, because that's, we've all been in situations where, it's sometimes we want to take something, but the money isn't there to do it. But there's, of course, always free things that we can do. And first and foremost, getting sunlight in the eyes in the morning. And even if it's a full-on cloudy day, the amount of photons that are still bursting through those clouds is way more than, let's say a light that you would have in your home. Now, it can depend on the strength of the light and, of course, how cloudy it is, but the concept is the same. We're wired for light. There's a biophysicist, Fritz Albert Popp, and he has this quote, something along the lines of, we don't understand fully how everything's going on, but we do know that at the fundamental level, we are beings of light and we operate off of light frequencies. So one thing that I always suggest to people is get outside in the morning, even if it's raining out, and just you have to step out your front door, get natural light in your eyes. And ideally, if you can get up to 20 minutes, that's where a lot of the studies have shown that you're going to actually have really significant impacts in mood, happiness, and cognitive function and neurotransmitter production.
What are you finding in the research in terms of wearing sunglasses and allowing your eyes to experience that naturally? Obviously not looking directly at the sun, but what are you finding there?
So, with the sunglasses, it's something from what I read many years ago, sunglasses were implemented for people who were having eye issues and eye challenges. And it was really more of like a medical device. But then it got transformed into more of a fashionable thing. And of course, they're cool and fun to wear, but they are going to limit the amount of photons that get in your eyes. And so in terms of the studies, when you're blocking out that photonic energy getting into your eyes, it does show that states of depression can be higher, mood swings can be higher. It can be possible for more inflammation and pain to be present and exist. So things like that.
That's in line with what I've studied as well. Okay, so what are some other free ideas?
Another thing at the same time, if you can, ideally, is grounding. So touching your skin to the earth, whether that's concrete or grass or sand or dirt. We know that when our skin is touching the earth, there's an actual voltage effect or a voltage transfer that takes place. What happens is our nervous system will actually pick up these negative ions or these electrons that are constantly being emitted from the earth. And when we pick that up, they've actually shown how brain waves will actually shift, and it happens pretty instantaneously. Now, again, the longer you're doing it, the better. And we know that the more negative ions we have or electrons, these act as antioxidants or free radical scavengers. And so it's going to neutralize harmful free radicals. And in general, with that, what's going to happen is the brainwave production, it can be more towards the alpha state, which is where we really, for the most part, really want to be. Calm, focused, alert, attentive, have great recall during those times, and just really helping to shift the voltage in the body.
So take the dog out in the morning, don't wear shoes or sunglasses. Check.
Exactly.
Good. Okay.
It's snowing out.
So more people need to walk around without shoes on.
Yeah, exactly. I literally will walk out my door each morning barefoot on the it's a small little road that I live on. It goes out towards this beautiful little spot where I can look at the sun. And there's some people, I mean, they're just sort of doing it in joking in a passing way, but why are you walking barefoot? Like you're walking on the street here. It's a quiet street, but I tell them this is what we're actually meant to be doing. We're meant to be connected to the earth. Now, it's not like we have to be doing that 24/7, but the more we do it, the better for sure.
Yeah, I know when we walk barefoot to the mailbox or whatever, we get looks and people are questioning like, what's going on? Like, where are your shoes? Like, what's happening here? They need to make shoes that are like the same as your skin or allows you to absorb the energy or the negative ions from the earth.
Or people just need to deal with their own stuff instead of ours.
Right.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Are there certain exercises that you could do to stimulate this process?
Yeah, definitely. So breathing exercises first and foremost.
Taking a short break just to remind you that there are so many women like you out there who are suffering from hormone disorders, autoimmune diseases, their inflammation system and their immune system are out of control. And there are lots of things that we can do above and beyond plant-based diet to get it back on track. If you would like to discuss your issues with me and see how I might be able to help you, please reach out at info@planttrainers.com. It's just so humbling and wonderful to know that we're helping so many people and maybe we can help you or someone you love. And now back to the show.
Slow controlled breathing or even Wim Hof style breathing, meditative breathing, getting in a state of prayer or, meditation definitely has been shown to lessen the decline in the way that neurons will just naturally start degrading over time. So it has like an indirect effect. It has an indirect effect. So it'll limit the degradation process of neurons. So it helps preserve them longer. But then meditation studies have actually shown in the brain that in the hippocampus, neurogenesis can take place as well. So new neurons can be created and new neural pathways can be strengthened and connected, and everything can just sort of snap together in beneficial ways.
And what about moving your body in particular?
Yes, absolutely. So exercise has been studied so frequently for, obviously many, many things. And one thing in particular is the same exact concept of neurogenesis. And the way that it actually happens is something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor and nerve growth factor. These are proteins. Those are upregulated. And so those are produced in a more quantitative state. And so what happens then is those proteins signal to the cells to create new neurons. Let's repair the damaged neurons. Let's strengthen those connections between the neurons. So they're really quite incredible molecules. BDNF has actually been called the miracle grow or miracle grow for the brain. Now, there's a lot of different things that can stimulate BDNF and NGF, but exercise, free and easy way to do that. And, if someone isn't exercising, something as simple as walking can be so beneficial because that's exercise in and of itself. You get the blood flow going, oxygenation can get to the brain. And, we're just going to think clearer. We can detox better and nutrients can, get where they need to get even quicker and more efficiently.
I know we have some listeners who are saying, what's the BDNF?
Yeah. Okay. So BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and that's one of the proteins. And then another protein is called nerve growth factor, NGF. And those two compounds really in the biohacking and neurohacking spaces and, neurooptimization, those two compounds are really well studied and, often talked about, and people are looking for ways to increase the production of those two compounds specifically because they know what it's doing for the brain and nervous system.
So we're not saying that everybody needs to go for their run now barefoot without sunglasses, right? Because that's where my head's going. Like, I got to go for a run. Now I got to take off the shoes, go
the
barefoot.
The extremist in the family.
and no sunglasses. Like, that's weird for me.
Right,
I'm pretty sure you've been there before, though.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. Like, should I be doing that? I don't know.
It's a fair question. I guess it's up to someone's lifestyle and their choices and where they live and, what they exactly want to do. But I think, the minimum of getting some sort of walking in the morning, getting some light, literally, even if it's 30 seconds, it's better than nothing. It's just very simple, free, easy ways that people can actually make a pretty significant difference in their life. And there's a lot of published study that Andrew Huberman does. He's a neuroscientist at Stanford. He publishes his stuff. He's got, his podcast, and he talks about a lot of different things in relation to this. But one of his big things that he continually talks about is sunlight in the morning, and really, starting the day the right way in that way.
I walk the dog, or like her first walk, I walk her around about 25 minutes while I do my meditation. So I listen to my meditation. Maybe I should be sitting for it, but I found ways to multitask in a good way. So I listen to my meditation and I walk, and I don't wear sunglasses in the morning. And I actually find, it is summer and there's so many different things impacting it, but I do find that my day really starts off well. And the odd day where I don't walk her, I kind of feel off. But yesterday afternoon, I kind of felt off. People know that I've struggled with mental health in the past. And sometimes I get these visions of just getting into a fight with somebody for no reason. And I had sat for the first time upstairs in the sunlight, because now instead of working down here, I work upstairs in the sunlight. But I had sat all day and I hadn't really moved other than, walking here and there for water. And like those visions kind of came back, and I'm like, I'm going to go to catch ball and I'm going to get into a fight with someone, and this is what's going to happen. And my brain kind of went like unwired, like it unhinged and went in a different way. So it's funny how sometimes it's not just the morning where you need to do those things, but you need to continuously touch upon them throughout the day, even if it's just for a minute or two, because it can be time consuming. But think about all the time and energy that you save long term by making time for those things, because you're being more efficient, or you're not getting caught up in your head in these stories and thoughts and visions. So it is really important. I know a lot of us are thinking, okay, now what should I eat? What should I throw on my salad? What should I make sure is in my smoothie? What other nutrients do I need to improve this process?
Yeah. So, one of the easiest and tastiest things that a person can do, and a lot of people know this already, is blueberries. And obviously, you want to, if you can, try to find organic blueberries so that you limit pesticide exposure. But those blueberries, the skin of it have what we know as anthocyanins. And those anthocyanins have also been shown to upregulate the production of BDNF. Now, along those same lines, other dark berries also have anthocyanins. So really any sort of berries will do it, but blueberries have been really specifically shown to do that very well. And also another berry called aronia berries. And these aronia berries typically are grown in the United States. They're grown throughout the North Midwest, and throughout Europe, they're grown throughout Bulgaria and sort of that area. But the aronia berries, they're even darker than blueberries. And so the anthocyanin content is even richer. And so that can help even more than blueberries. Now, there is sort of a little drawback with the aronia berries. They're very drying. They also call them choke berries, because if you have, 4 or 5 of them and you eat them, it will dry out your mouth. But the way that people commonly use them is you can mix it into smoothies, and it really won't have that sort of drying effect. So that's a really good way to do it. You can buy aronia berry syrups that, can get just pressed right there on local farms. So that's a really cool way. And then another thing that I really like to do, you guys, is consume lion's mane mushroom. And that is, as a gourmet mushroom, you can mix it in stir fries, you can have it by itself. But what that has been shown to do also is upregulate nerve growth factor. That's one of those 2 proteins. And, I know that you both know this as well. And, a lot of people listening will know that lion's mane has been commonly suggested, particularly over the past 10 years, as a brain food, and, really to help with cognitive function and the nervous system. So that's one that I've been using for 10 years. It was literally one of the first compounds and foods that I started learning about and using when I started learning about Neurogenesis.
I love that. We use a lot of different products that have that in it. So yeah, the mushrooms are really getting some good press these days. So I love that. And I love the lion's mane as well, especially for people who are experiencing a lot of inflammation too. It's been really, really helpful.
Yeah, definitely. And, there's a couple other things too. One is rhodiola rosea. That herb is grown primarily in Siberia and sort of like northern climates like that. But back in the 70s, rhodiola actually used to be a Soviet government secret because they were studying it on their athletes or their Olympians, on their cosmonauts, on their scientists, and on their soldiers. And like these people were literally sworn to secrecy of, you can't talk about this. The information obviously has come out since, but what rhodiola has been shown to do is also stimulate neurogenesis because there's a compound in there called, or there's two in particular, salidrosides and rosavins. And those compounds, again, upregulate BDNF and NGF. And rhodiola is commonly known to also, just in general, support cognitive function. In the soldiers and the athletes, it showed that it helped them with resiliency, both mental and physical. So it's a strong adaptogen. Athletes will commonly use it. The Russian bodybuilders were using it and still use it. So it's a great sports performance enhancement herb, but also cognitive enhancement and just for mood and happiness. Because throughout Siberia, from more of like a traditional standpoint, they'll make tea out of that root, in particular in the winter time because it's so dark and cold there. And there's studies showing how rhodiola has strong antidepressant effects. Now, it's going to vary from person to person and the amount, of course, but it is known to have those sort of effects.
Lance, it's fascinating stuff. Really appreciate all the information you're sharing with us. If people want to learn more about what you're doing, where can they reach out to you?
So lanceschuttler.com is my website. And then I'm also the CEO and owner of a company called Ascent Nutrition. And we offer a wide range of products. This is really the industry and along my passion, as you can tell. So, we just do what we can do to help people live happier, healthier lives. And that's really, again, one of my big purposes for being here is to help people with food and nutrition and diet and lifestyle to just simply be happier and healthier. Because, again, we've all experienced what sadness and, lower states can feel like, and no one wants to be there. And so I'm trying to do what I can do, and our company's trying to do what we can do to help people be just happier and healthier.
Well, thank you so much for what you're doing. And I know that the state of the world now, after the last 2 years, is experiencing that even more. So to do everything you can is really important. So thank you so much for dedicating your life to that. I suggest everybody go and check out those links. We'll have them in the show notes at planttrainers.com and your YouTube as well. And we thank you so much for being here today on the Plant Trainers podcast.
Thank you both so much. This is really enjoyable and fulfilling.
Thank you all so much for listening to this edition of the Plant Trainers podcast. We want to make sure that you subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, or any other podcasting platform.
We really appreciate the feedback we receive from you. Every time we get a 5-star rating or review on iTunes from one of our fans, it really helps other people find us just like you did.
Thanks so much to our patrons. To become a patron, visit us at patreon.com/planttrainers. Even supporting us with $1 really makes a difference in the quality of the show.
And don't forget to connect with us on Instagram and Twitter. Our handle is @PlantTrainers. Like Plant Trainers on Facebook, join our newsletter, and check out our website at planttrainers.com for awesome recipes, a list of our services, and of course, our latest podcast.
We encourage you to email your questions to info@planttrainers.com so that we can help you improve your quality of life through nutrition and fitness.
So we hope we've inspired you today. Join us again next time and have a healthy day. Or is that too corny?
It's a little cheesy.